So I just got back from getting gas for my power washer here because I'm about to officially power wash this Cobra. I did a kind of a, I guess you'd call it a rinse the other day on it, which was enough to cut all the crud after all these years are sitting up. So we're gonna do some power wash on this bad boy and see if we can go ahead and cut some of the big stuff off of it before I start putting any kind of rag or sponge or anything like that on it. So here we go. Now what we're about to use here is called a foam cannon, and you'll see what it does. Basically, you foam the whole car and you let it drag all the contaminants off. Then you wipe it down, or you run a rag over it, then you rinse it off. All right, now that I've got it rinsed off from the initial soap and hand wash, now I'm gonna put on here what we call Iron X. It's a contaminant remover. You probably heard me talk about it in my other video. So you want to make sure the car is wet, and you spray the car with this, and it turns it purple, and then you actually need to rub it in and then rinse it off immediately. So what I'm gonna do, because it's still in the sun a little bit, I need to either let the sun get off of it or pull the car forward so it's in the shade. You don't want to do this in the sun. So I'm going to pull it up a little bit, get out of the sun, and then spray this on it. And we'll see what kind of contaminants come off of it. Whenever it turns purple, that's contaminants it's removing. All right, so that's a hand wash, power wash, hand wash, and then Iron X treatment, which was a hand application again, and then rinse it off. And I haven't dried it yet. I'm getting ready to wipe it off just to dry it. But this basically decontaminates the car. So now I can go in here and clay bar it if I want and polish it, or I can start doing my compounding on it. But this is how I start all details, just to get all the contamination off. And actually the paint doesn't feel bad, considering 7 years ago I clay barred it and did a quick polish on it. But I've never ceramic coated this car, so I'll probably, now that everything is stripped off of it, I can go in and do some light correction on it. And yeah, I'll probably ceramic coat it after that. But I'm gonna do some correction on it, see if I can bring that front bumper back out, because it's faded. And this stuff on the side here, Fox bodies, Cobras in general, but most Fox bodies, basically when you see this black residue here and you think something's wrong with it, it's nothing wrong with it. It's just this is rubber and this is plastic. And what happens over time, the rubber is just breaking down and it's coming through the paint. So what I want to show you is, see right here how clean that is? That's clean because I just got through cleaning the glue residue off, and I stopped right here in the middle, and you can clearly see where I stopped. The trick to doing that is right here. This is 3M general purpose adhesive cleaner. The part number is 08987. And what you do, I just have this little sponge here, and basically you see this black stuff here. This is the glue that is actually coming off. That's what came off just doing this section here. So what I do is I spray it on here and I fold it like this, and then I just rub it on it real easy until I get the glue residue off. Then I go back and I take a rag and I just kind of wipe over top of it. So you do it real gentle. You don't have to really push hard in the paint or anything. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue down and get all that off. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start correcting the car. So what I'm gonna do first is, normally I'll just do a clay bar and a light polish on a car that actually has been kept up. But this one, it definitely needs some correction. And because I've never actually corrected this car, I've only done the clay bar to it, 7 years ago. I'm actually gonna do a light correction on it, where I'll take one of my pads over there and put some compound on it. And I'll do a real light compound at first and see how many imperfections it takes out. But because this paint's 29 years old, I wanna go real easy on it. So use your lightest compound and get the results you want. Could I make it show quality and use like 3 or 4 stages of compound on different pads? Absolutely. But then you make the paint real thin. And because of the age of the car, I just wanna clean it up and make it look nice. There's a few imperfections I think I showed you before. Just where it's been sitting out, you can see like water spots here in the bumper cover, plus it's faded. You can see the same thing in the hood. There's like a bird dropping there that's etched into the paint. So what I'm gonna do is try to clean up enough to get those imperfections out. So when I shine the light over it, you won't see that type of little like imperfections all in the paint. It doesn't really have much in the line of scratches on it. That's good. But just the little like water spot damage over the years. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I figured you'd like to know, how do you get that stuff off without being too aggressive and without damaging the paint? And this stuff won't damage the paint, it's fine. I actually got it from a good buddy of mine who runs a body shop. His name is Bobby Starks. He introduced me to it a couple years ago when I did a burnout in the TTSaleen over there for burnouts for Wyatt, and I had all this rubber caked up on my quarters, and I couldn't get the rubber off. No matter how much I tried my normal techniques, it just wouldn't come off. It was so gooey and sticky from the heat it generated. And all the cars on burnouts that day, it just like melted itself to the quarters. And he showed me that stuff. Now it takes elbow grease. It doesn't just fall off the car, but you have to rub it. And just, like I say, I use a sponge, just rub it real easy, get it off of there. You have to get something right down here in the corners. I've got to get something to get all the little imperfections in the corners out to make it perfect. But I'll take something like a toothbrush or something, get in there, maybe a toothpick and a toothbrush, and get all down in the corners real good. But that's something I'm working on. I figured you'd like to know. That's just a little behind the scenes detail trick, how to get that off without being too aggressive, without having to wet sand or anything like that. And we'll bring that door molding back to life. Now, this is just a temporary fix. That's still what they call coming apart. You know, the rubber is just deteriorating. It's 29, 30 years old. It's just the glues in it are starting to come through the paint. And it's gonna continue to do this, but we bought in some more time. Again, I think I said in the other video, the best way to fix this is to pull the molding off the door, belt molding, and get a new one, have it sprayed and painted to match and put it back on. But for now, we're gonna keep all the original parts, so that's how you do it. All right, I'm gonna show you how to get this stuff off real quick to make it easy. You can see where I've got that off of there. See if I can get where you don't see a shadow. All right, you can see right here where it's off, and here's where the grime is. So now what I'm gonna do, show you, take your brush and your spray, and you basically spray it onto the bristles of the brush, and then you come in here, and you basically just like brushing your teeth. You do the bottom, like so. Back and forth a couple times. This is a really soft bristle, see? Really soft. This is a detail brush. This isn't an actual toothbrush, but kind of same consistency. You can use a toothbrush. These are just some detail brushes I have. And then once you do that, you take a rag, just wipe it off real easy, and away you go. So this helps get all the nooks and crannies in here. You can go back and touch it up. And when you get to a certain point, I have these little detail disc, and what I do, I cut them in half and I put solution on it. You see this one's pretty nasty. I've already kind of done a first pass on it. You spray it on here, then you wipe it on and take these off, and you'll see it. It'll take that off. And you just go kind of easy. Make a first pass, get the big stuff, make a second pass, and just keep going over it kind of easy. You don't have to rub that hard. Just a little elbow grease in there, And then once you go back and look at it, you can always make a couple more passes over it. But overall, you can see how nasty it is down in the cracks there, but I did a first pass and it looks really good. So I'll keep doing this and getting down in here. I'll spray some more on here so you can see it. And you wet it like this, top and bottom. And then you can let it do the work. All right, so before I get too far, I started to work on a car and I forgot I didn't have my camera on. So before I get too far, I'm using Manzurna medium cut polish. It's the 2400, and I'm using a Hex Logic pad. This is their orange pad, which is their medium to heavy cutting pad. And basically what you do is you put your pad on and get it what they call pre-staged. You go ahead and put some polish on it and you work it in, and then you put it on the car and you start getting it going. And then once it starts turning to a haze, you go ahead and buff it in, turn your speed up. So I always use low speed. I don't use a lot of high speed originally when I start putting it on. And then when I start doing the polishing part later, I'll use a higher speed. So anyway, here's a quick little demonstration of how that works. Okay, and then once you have the initial polish completed, you take your microfiber towel, kind of fold it like so, and you kind of wipe real easy like that. Fold it over a couple times, and I always like to go in the direction of the car just to minimize any scratching that may or may not happen. And a trick here is use 2 microfibers. Use one to kind of wipe this large excess polish off like I'm doing here. So what we're doing is we're just wiping off the excess polish here with the 1 microfiber, like so. And again, don't push. You don't have to push on the rag, just drag it real easy. I'm gonna go here and just grab another one. By the way, these are just cheap microfibers we're using the initial stage. I have quality microfibers I use for the polishing at the end, but then your nice fresh one, you can actually go back and forth a little bit here so we can see what we're working with. And doing this gives us a general idea of how much correction this car is going to take to look as good as we want it to look. And again, we can go more or less aggressive because the paint is unique, it is older, and we don't want to cut through the paint any more than we have to. Because contrary to popular belief, buffing does remove paint, does remove the clear coat from the paint, and it does make it thinner. So while there's plenty of people that can say, oh man, your boy detailed that car, I can still see some imperfections, I can still see this. You absolutely will, because I'm not gonna go hard in the paint, because I'd like for your paint to last more than 6 months or a year, and therefore I'd rather you have a few imperfections that you're only gonna see under lights like this and looking at it on straight on. But when you get out in the sun, majority of this, you'll never see it. And that's what's funny about this. Doing detail work, a lot of the stuff out in the sunshine, you actually won't see the imperfections. We're under lights like this, and trying to look for it, you will. Now don't get me wrong, you'll still see some imperfections. What we're trying to do is minimize the amount that your eye picks up from sunlight hitting it, like swirls and halos and just minor imperfections in the paint. All right, now, what I wanna show you, let me get this little bit of polish off here. So far, that's looking pretty good. And you still see a little bit of bird dropping right here that didn't come out. But overall, if we look here, you see how that looks really dull? And we go here, and how much shinier that is. Dull and shiny. So that is definitely coming around. And just my reflection in general, you can see my outline really clear there. We come over here, and it's dull. So And that's just a simple one-step 2400 cut polish. So this stuff is really good. I mean, you can actually do a cut and a polish all in one, and then you can finish it up with your favorite, you know, top coat, if you will, polish. I have a 3500 right here, what they call the super finish, and this is the high gloss swirl remover. So what I may do, because that looks pretty good like it is, I think I'm gonna do the 2400 and the orange pad over the whole car, get it looking like that, and then do the 3500 swirl remover on top of it, which will bring out just that deep looking glow that everybody looks for. And then once that's done, I'll do an alcohol wipe, which what that does, it takes off all the residue of oil and all the things that are in polish that you don't want under your ceramic coat. So an alcohol wipe, you get like isopropyl alcohol, you dilute a little bit with water, you spray it on the car, you wipe it all down, and then it's ready, it's prepped at that point, ready for ceramic coat. And then I'll do a ceramic coat on it. But that just gives you an idea of what I do when I go to prep a car and correct it. But that has come a long way. And then here's a kind of a line, not corrected and corrected. And again, there's other compounds I have and pads, and I have a hybrid wool pad I can use when paint's really bad. But this car clearly doesn't need that type of correction. And again, I don't want to go very hard in the paint. It just doesn't need it. It just needs kind of a really light correction and then some nice protection on it. So I'll probably do my high-end ceramic coat that I have, beads that I have, and put that on it, because that's normally a 3 to 5 year coating is what they call for. So hope you enjoy the video. How do you remove the black residue, sticky residue from the door moldings, which I have clearly done on this car now using that 3M product. And now starting the correction. Once that's done, now we're going to start doing all the correction and polishing on the car. So I'll probably finish up this video showing you the final product, but for now, that's how you get the foundation ready. And if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I do read all the comments, and we'll go from there. Well, I guess I will show you some in progress pics or video. So I took off the little plastic vent that goes right here on the cow, so I could actually clean that. There was a bunch of leaves and pine straw and stuff that accumulated in here over the years. Not only was I able to get that out, I was able to vacuum all down in here where the air actually goes in for your vent system and also drains. So I was able to clean all that on the inside, clean out down here at the base of the windshield. And then I started taping everything up. So I taped up around the sunroof, I'm taping up around the quarter glass, the rear hatch, and basically this is just blue painter's tape. And I go right up to the edge and all the way around, as you can see. I haven't finished yet. I have to finish taping up this quarter glass and the handles and things like that. But what I want to show you was, instead of taping up around this trim piece, it's just one Phillips head screw that you take off under the bottom. You open the door, you take off this Phillips head screw, and this actually slides back. But because it's 30 years old, you just slide it back and forth a couple times to break it loose. Then you slide it back a few inches and you can actually just pull it right off. Now, what I want to show you this specifically for, I've not cleaned this off yet, but after all the power washing I did and wiping the car off, this is still the debris that was under there. Look at this dirt and debris. Look at that. That was still under there. Even this leaf was still under there. So I'm going to take a cloth and like some window cleaner, spray it real good and clean all that off. This side's the same way. See all the dust? Look at that. And dirt and everything. Anyway, I mean, it's pretty bad. Look at that. And what's crazy about that is you saw me literally power washing this car multiple times yesterday, cleaning it, washing it and everything. But the reason you want to do this is stuff that can come out later, whether you're washing it or drying it off, whatever the case may be. So after I ceramic coated it and let's say gave it back to him, he's out there washing it, if any of that stuff were to break loose, start dripping down or coming out, that's dirt and dust and debris that could potentially scratch it when you go to wipe it off. So it's best to try to get everything out that you can. And so taking that off, again, it's real easy. Instead of taping it up, I can just do that. At the same time, I can go in here and take the mirrors off instead of taping those up. One thing I found was this thing is starting to fade so bad, it's actually coming through back to the basic material. So the paint, there's just no paint right here, it's just faded so bad. So not much I can do about that without taking the mirror off and having it re-sprayed. But for now, I brought this home because it was sitting at the shop. They had taken off the wall and they were painting, never put it back up. But I thought it was a cool piece that should stay with the car. So with all the other things he has in the back, when I get through, I'm gonna put this in the car so it stays with it and doesn't get lost or anything. You can see it's already started fading where it was in the shop for so long and sun had been getting on it. It actually started fading the pictures on it there. But anyway, unfortunately that magazine is now defunct, hadn't been around in quite a few years. But it was a nice article about the car in there, talking about how Melvin found it and the shape it was in, had 6,000 miles on it, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, that is the car. There it is. Just wanted to show you some more steps of when I detail a car, what it takes to do one. So if any of you ever get a car ceramic coated and you get a quote from somebody and they say, oh man, that's kind of high, just understand, a true detailer guy who's gonna take the time to do it right and ceramic coat it, he's not just gonna wash it and throw a ceramic coating on it. If he does his job properly, he's gonna wash it, he's gonna dry it, he's gonna blow all the debris out of it, he's gonna take his time before he ever corrects it, before he ever ceramic coats it, and he's gonna do stuff like this. He's gonna tape it up, he's gonna take off the stuff so he doesn't get stuff everywhere from the polishing compound to the ceramic coat. It's the little details that make a difference in a quality detailer and the guy down the street who can do it cheaper. Because we all have that buddy that'll tell you that, well, my buddy said he could do it cheaper, or he got the same stuff you got. Bullshit. So I'll go ahead and tell you now, the stuff I use is called beads, B-E-E-D-S, and it's hard to get, but you can find it. Just go online and you can find a dealer, the guys in Florida who I get mine from. And the stuff you're gonna need is gonna cost you, if you get the ELX, which is what I use in the HD, go ahead and consider spending about $300 or $400. That's about what it's gonna cost you just to get the raw material. And it comes in a little bottle about this big. When you pay that kind of money, you're gonna be surprised. It's not a very big bottle. But good materials cost money and they last a long time. Are there other things you can try? Absolutely. Do they last as long? No, they don't. I've tried them all. They don't last as long. Is beads the best stuff there is? No, it's not. But it's something I've used and it works fine for the money. It's fine. Just to let you know, cars like my Charger, my Pontiac, my Mach 1, they all have beads on them. Even the TTSaleen, they all had a beads product. So take that for what you will. Use whatever you want as long as you're happy with it. Some products you just have to apply more often, like every year or so, which is fine. I mean, it's better than doing wax every couple of months, but this car clearly needs something a little more than it has, which is absolutely zero. If you saw me wash it, it didn't bead at all. But I want to show you and just explain a little bit about detailers. Detailers gonna have a nice dual action type of buffer. They're gonna have multiple compounds they're gonna use, multiple pads they're gonna use. So just research before you just go out and find somebody to do it, or do like I did. Learn how to do it yourself. And then just practice. The more practice, the more product you use, the more cars you work on, you'll find your little niche and technique that works for you. I've been doing it for probably about 8 years now, I guess I've been doing detail work. And for a while I did it, you know, almost as a second job or third job. And I just don't have time anymore to do it, which is why I can barely keep up with the cars I have and keep them clean. But every now and then I'll break somebody off and I'll do a detail for them. And it normally takes me about 3 days to do one properly. Like this car, it's gonna take me probably all week to do it. Number one, I just don't have the time to do it anymore. Number two, I really want this car to pop, so I'm gonna take extra time to make this car perfect because it's what it deserves. Okay, I've rattled on enough, back to work. What's up, YouTube? All right, so it is Wednesday and had to wait for my buffing pads to come in. These are the Hex Logic medium cutting pads. So started the car, only had one, and I went through it pretty fast. But here's the results. Now this is 2400 compound all the way around. As you can tell, it brought the bumper back. Now if you look really, really close, you can still see imperfections because I only used 2400. I didn't do a deeper cut, but he's the same on the hood. And like I say, it looks really good. Under these lights is when you're gonna see the worst part of the car. So you'll still see little imperfections here and there. But again, under these lights, they're very unforgiving. But out in the sunlight, most of these flaws you won't see at all. But I just wanted you to take a look at the canvas right now. So I have 2400 compounded the whole car, top, bottom, sides, all the way around. And it cleaned up really nice. The wing, the bumper. If you noticed before, they looked like two different colors. Now they look the same. Same with the front bumper. It almost looked like two different colors. It's more of a match now. It's still a shade or so off just because it's plastic and this is metal, and you know, 29 years of paint curing at different processes. But right now it is definitely shiny and it looks more closer to the car itself. I just wanted to give you a quick look. Most detailers won't show you in progress like this, but the bumper, the spoiler, you know, even all up in here and under the wing, I tried to detail as well. The driver's side mirror, the paint had kind of gone away and it was white. So if you notice over here, I actually have taken them off, taped them up, and I've sprayed 2.5, I guess, really, really light coats of flat black, which is kind of what the mirrors were. They weren't really shiny to begin with. So I sprayed them real light with flat black, cleaned them up and sprayed them, and they should look like I never touched them, which is the whole point. I want them to look just like they should without the white coming through, if you will. So I did them both so they'll be consistent. Then I'll take all the trim pieces here and I'll clean these up before I put them back on, which will be the grill, the windshield wipers, and the trim pieces over top. Oh, I need to do a reenactment real quick. So I was at work today. Let's just get into my work mode real quick. Just do this like this real quick, enact my work mode. So I'm sitting there at work, you know, and phone rings, ring, ring. Oh, it's Melvin. Hey, Melvin, what's going on? Yeah, your car's doing good, man. Oh, what have I got left? I just got some pads coming today so I can buff it, you know. And oh, you actually watch more videos. Okay, so, oh, it don't need the struts, huh? Okay, cool. Well, I know how you are, and I figured those cracked tires, you wouldn't change them either. You wouldn't change the struts, so that's cool, man. I feel you, you know. Yeah, you can do what you want to when you get it back. All right, no problem. I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good one. Okay. Oh, I bet the car being gone, the absence makes the heart grow fonder, don't it? You just want it back, don't you? So anyway, what he doesn't know is I already put struts on. I put struts on it last night, and there they are. Brand new struts on the front of this thing. So he just doesn't know. But his old struts I kept. They're over there in boxes. I'm gonna give them to him because he thinks they're fine. But we know they're not. When they compress and won't come back and you're riding like a lowrider, oh, that ain't fine. But yeah, I was just laughing. I was like, okay, man, yeah, sure, no problem. And I already put the struts on the car. But I'm not gonna tell him because they're already done. And there they are. It's too funny.